Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Cedar Rapids Community School District regular Board of Education meeting. Today is Monday, August the 12th, 2019. Could I have someone read the approval of the consent agenda, please? A motion, please.
I move that the agenda of Monday, August 12th, 2019, Board of Education meeting be approved as set forth, and that each item is considered ready for discussion and/or action.
Second.
With a roll call, please.
Director Anhalt.
Aye.
Director Laverty.
Aye.
Director Jacobo.
Aye.
Director Borcherding.
Aye.
President Humbles.
Aye. Next, we'll move to our Superintendents Report.
Thank
Take
you,
it away.
President Humbles. So it is that time of year. It's kind of our annual New Year's preparation. Summer's winding down and the school year's winding up. If you've been to any of our facilities, you can see students already practicing. Events are already rolling. New teachers are on campus. So tonight's going to be about that transition time, celebrating things that happened in the summer and things that are coming up here for the start of the school year. So, Kingston Stadium, super exciting. It is going to be, look at that. Ooh, it's going to be ready, right? So, looking forward to that new field and an 8-lane track this fall. Our first game is the 30th of this month already. Kennedy is home, Jefferson is away, and really excited to christen that new field this fall. So that is so exciting and well-deserved. Especially for our kids. Next, many of you were able to attend the new teacher orientation first day last Friday. Thank you for attending. They had a full day, started the kickoff in the morning with Linda Nagel, Rod Dooley, myself, and several others. 118 folks, 53 I think are brand new to the profession, and I just can't emphasize enough thank you for choosing us to start your profession with us. The annual SAI conference was a couple weeks ago. A lot of our leaders, administrators attended from the district. Really cool conference this year, focused very much on what we're focused on, equity, community, engagement, and leading leaders. So that was a great opportunity for our leaders, and of course featured a couple of our administrators who were administrators of the year. Very proud of that for our district. What's coming up here is, well, some folks know this happened today. Infinite Campus, Craig Barnum and Ryan Rydstrom are going to give a report a little later, but Infinite Campus electronic registration went out to our families today. As I understand it, hot off the news press, launched this afternoon. Already 600 kids are registered for our beginning of the year. So those e-registrations will keep rolling in, and I look forward to Craig and Ryan's report a little later here. We had our first magnet school conference last week for our 5 magnet schools. This was awesome. It was our educators leading educators together, and teachers learning from teachers, administrators. Hats off to our magnet coordinators who put together a phenomenal day last week. Very exciting to see those magnet teachers and educators working together, and the principals really, this was at RCCBA, so a special thanks for them to hosting, but the continued work of offering choice and innovation in our district is wonderful. It was a really, really great day. In addition, we have students from Kennedy, Wash, and Jefferson, along with staff chaperones, just came back with a little jet lag from Japan. This was the first cross-district travel event from all of our 3 comprehensive high schools, and they just had a marvelous time. If you saw any of the posts on social media, certainly cultural competency, but amazing opportunities for our students and the staff who went with them. Just really excited for that collaboration across all 3 high schools. So we are gearing up for a more robust implementation of our transportation app called Safe Stop. This was an opportunity for our families last year, but this year we're hoping that it becomes a little more intentional, especially for folks to find out their start and stop time pickups. And so that will be accessible to our families so they know when their children will be picked up. And because the first couple weeks of school can have a lot of transition, it is updated daily. So those start and stop times might change, and if families access that Safe Stop, they will get daily transition plans and updates for those start and stop times, and encourage our families to use that app. As you know, the work underway at Hoover Elementary, our community-based school, is a wonderful example of increasing engagement for community and our schools. This community-based school work, you can see the artwork here posted, was a wonderful celebration of cultural diversity at Hoover. And over the weekend, there was an event to celebrate this beautiful work of art. And what a celebration for our students, our families, and the public. We're just so excited for that continued effort around the community schools at Hoover, as seeing that effort progress across our district. So the Memory Project is an international project designed to foster international friendships through the arts, and recently 20 Kennedy High School students participated in this work by creating portraits of students in Afghanistan. Those portraits were then mailed to Afghanistan and presented to the students there in a ceremony of hope. Our Kennedy students were joined in this effort by over 300,000 young artists who created these portraits as a way to communicate their care for the Afghan students' well-being and their future. As you'll see in the following clip from the official Memory Project video, the children were so excited to receive the artwork, and you can get a sense of the impact this project had on all those involved. And so this is a 1-minute video. So amazing work, and as we look to connect our community and engagement with our district, it's amazing how we can be connected all over the world, from Afghan to Japan, right here to Cedar Rapids. So that's it for tonight.
Thank you so much. Do we have any board reports?
Nancy, I do have an update, and it is an official board report this time, since last time it was just a heads up about an event, the Dance for Our Lives, which was sponsored and put on by the March for Our Lives organization that has come together here in Cedar Rapids. That event occurred on July 20th at CSPS. As I had mentioned before, it was the goal for that event was to have youth throughout Cedar Rapids, so not just from one particular school or one part of the city, come together to have an opportunity to speak with local, state, elected officials, as well as the campaigns from candidates that'll be coming up. It was well attended. It was a fun event. It was something that I think kids had fun. They were able to dance, had music, or have music participate, but also voice their concerns, voice their opinions, and have opportunities to interact with representatives. So it was a good event.
Thank you. Any other board reports? Okay. Next, we'll move to communications, delegations, and petitions. We do have a request for someone to speak before the board. I'd like to remind you that you have 5 minutes, and when you step to the podium, that you state your name and your address. And that person is Lawrence Winklowski. And you have 5 minutes, I'm sorry, Lawrence. Thank you.
Lawrence from Klaus P, 4234 Morel Road, Northeast. As some of you may be aware, my favorite fundraiser I've ever gone to is the Fisherama Fire Boys and Girls Club. This year, I didn't fish though. I was asked to be on the organizing committee in like March, and I said, yeah, I'll do that, because I always have problems finding people to fish with. So on, yeah, my wife doesn't fish, and she won't even sit there and read a book. But this year, on the Sunday of the event, I got to drive around in a prize car. And I picked up this young girl, Kate, I think she was from West Branch, and we drove around, and she told me she was 9, and then she goes, oh, actually, I'm 3 weeks short. I said, well, okay, then you're 8.92 years old. But we drove around and we talked, and I asked Kate, I go, Kate, when you go trick-or-treating, you get a lot of candy? She goes, yeah. I go, you eat it all? She goes, no, I throw half of it out. And she goes, no, actually, my dad eats some of it and that, but, I don't like things with almonds or peanuts. And, I don't like the apple candy, but I do like apples. And don't like any of the taffies or, sticky stuff, because it gets stuck to her teeth. And that. So I go to Kate, I go, okay, what if you got a coin, or, like a nickel or a dime or that, from every other person, and that when you went trick-or-treating? And that I go, what do you think of that? And she goes, that's a great idea. And it's something that I'm coming here to ask your help for. I'm going to the neighborhood associations in the community. I'm going to go to a city council meeting. I'm talking to somebody in their communication department. But, I got like, I don't know, 40-some permutations for the name for this event. But right now we're calling it Treats or Coins. And the goal is that we get the people involved, that half the people give candy and half the people give coins. Last year I had 5 trick-or-treaters. Over the years it's greatly declined, and I hated November 1st because that's the day a miracle takes place. All this candy turns to seafood. I don't know how that happens. I see it and I eat it, and yeah, it's not good. So I need, so what I'd like to do is, I figured based on calendar year, so this being a odd year, right? Or even year? Yeah, odd year. Yeah, people who live in odd number houses would give out candy. If you live in next year, if it's an even number house, you give out candy, and just switch back and forth. The advantage, I've been shamed by my children because I wanted to do this for a while to give out some change and that, but they said that ain't cool. Well, it's not cool eating all this candy either. And it's not cool throwing it out and filling our land, into our landfills and that. So what I'm asking this school district to do, the teachers union, the PTAs, if we can try to make this a reality. We could be the first, as to the best of my knowledge, first community in the country to do this. It goes along with our Blue Zone projects, our healthy living, and the kids, I think some of the kids could benefit from, if they end up with a little cash. I did a quick survey on Saturday, and I went to Walmart and Sam's, and those little pieces of candy, they cost between a nickel to 23 cents. And that, so, people could hand it out. Maybe we could bring back the 50-cent piece. I question if any of the kids nowadays have even saw one. And that, it's sort of like the rotary phone. So anyway, that is what I'm asking your assistance for, and I don't know how to do this other than go talk to people and that, but if I could, anything I could do, you could do to help and, contact me or that, I would greatly appreciate it.
Thank you,
So
Mr.
thank you.
Witkowski.
Thank you, and we can follow up with that. Thank you. Next, we'll move to our consent agenda for the board. Is there anything that you would like to pull or have further discussion?
I just want to make a comment about the work agreement for interim superintendent. And I appreciate it. I read what you wrote, President Humbles, in the Gazette, and it was right on the mark. And as one of the board members who's not running for reelection after 12 years, I just want to say, we worked really hard. We've been through, since I've been on the board, 3 superintendents. And the board has worked really hard to find some internal candidates that were prepared to be a superintendent, and Noreen has certainly filled that bill. And if I weren't going off, I would have pushed to probably get a full-time contract. And I appreciate, Noreen, all that you've done and tried to grow into this position and all that you plan to do. I've had probably a dozen people roughly reach out to me in the last few days since this was posted, and overwhelmingly very, very supportive and thrilled with the work that you're already doing in the district. So I think this will give the new board, whoever is elected, the opportunity to get to know you. It won't force this current board to start a process before we're all ready, and I think it's definitely the right thing to do. So, and I appreciate, Noreen, that you're willing to do this on an interim basis for 2 years. So, thank you.
Thank you, Director Laverty.
Any other discussion?
Yep, I actually had an item. So BA 20051, memorandum of agreement with the City of Cedar Rapids bus fare program, so 2019-2022. So that's something that I want to thank, probably Dave, I'm sure you were involved with a lot of that, other administration. I know over time I've heard from schools that I've visited, counselors, PTAs, other individuals that have helped to provide bus passes for our students. And now we're able to address this on a district level for all students. Pretty excited about that, and knowing that those funds that were previously going to this before within the schools can now be used for other things, other needs in those buildings. The one question that I did have, so the agreement, is it going to be year-round? So our students will be able to ride with their IDs year-round, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All I had. Thank you very much. Good job.
Okay, we'll take a roll call due to the personnel report and work agreement.
Director Laverty.
Aye.
Director Jacobo.
Aye.
Director Borcherding.
Aye.
Director Anhalt.
Aye.
President Humbles.
Aye. Next, we're moving to leadership and learning, an update on digital literacy and Infinite Campus with Craig Barnum and Ryan Rydstrom. And this is information item only.
So Ryan, you're actually kind of kicking this off, but we are so excited. There's been such a wonderful and intense summer this year in Cedar Rapids. So many good things and so many interesting things to report on. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. I'm going to let Ryan run the clicker because clearly I've had trouble with that in the past. And I know there's some irony here in that. And I can embrace that. I just want you to know that's okay. So we're going to start off by talking a little bit about some timeline, things that we've started off doing, and we'll kind of take you up over the next horizon. So going back to May, we went ahead and have secured 5,500 Chromebooks. Those are here. Actually, they're out in buildings. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. We've got cases for them, and we've secured some deals for low-cost or no-cost internet for a lot of our kids. Super exciting. In June, we started up on the registration process, hard and heavy. This has been a heavy, heavy lift, my friends. It's a lot of work to do, but we've got a team assembled. We've got one person who filled that role. We just made a job offer for a second position today, and that was accepted, so we're very excited about that. and we did a lot of good digital learning for our staff. We had 3 days, 2.5 days with our teachers at all levels, full day at high school, full day at middle school, half day at elementary, for all that stuff. It was great, very well received. In July, we went ahead and, I need to actually look more closely at the microscopic print here. We went ahead and got our Chromebooks set up and enrolled and all set out. I would say as a sort of a shout out there, and I'll do this again in a moment, our operations team has been fantastic with us. Our technology operations team have been absolutely fantastic, along with our warehouse team, purchasing team, everybody. It's been wonderful. August has been a whirlwind. That's about all I can say. We launched, and we'll get more to this in a second, we obviously launched Infinite Campus's e-registration process late this afternoon. We've been getting devices out to schools. We've been working through all the details to make sure that the internet agreements are all in place. Lots of good things happening. Go ahead and advance, Ryan, and I'll turn it over to you to talk about equity.
So we're talking a little bit about access and digital equity. Just to give you an update, we have enrolled over 200 Wi-Fi hotspots through Sprint's 1 Million project. Those have gone out to buildings. So those students that say they do not have internet at home will have those. That's free Wi-Fi. You can connect up to 10 devices for that. We are also going to open houses and surveying, and we'll put another order in September because we feel we may have missed some students, and we want to make sure they all have the opportunity for that. We also are working with MediaCom and IMON for Connect to Compete, which will be low-cost internet for families if they qualify. So that's about $10 a month. So that's how we're trying to create the digital, stop the digital divide for that. So now we're on Infinite Campus.
Yeah, well, step up to the mic here, pardon that. As far as campus goes, a couple of things to shout out. There was such an incredible conversion process here that's so complex. We've had been blessed with some really great help with that too. I want to shout out to Joellen Johnson, longtime district employee and now volunteer/employee again, has really just done remarkable work to help get this cleaned up. Also, all of our building personnel have helped out, and in general, my digital literacy team have pulled together and really made this happen. There's still a lot of rough spots in there, and it's, anytime you do this is kind of major surgery, so it's hard work. And it won't be perfect, and there's going to be continued pain points. But I think we got things launched off. As I said earlier, we sent out the email at about 3:30 today, and when I last checked around 5 o'clock, we had over 600 applications already completed, so we know that we did something right to get this started. I'm sure there'll be people who have trouble. Hopefully we can address that. I will let you know that our online registration, our online verification process, we're trying to get a little cleaner with our language there, returning students, verify. We had that translated into Spanish, French, and Swahili, as well as English, of course, and those have been deployed. We've engaged with our translation services, and we've got some community nights set up at a couple of high-flying schools that have these, so we're trying to make a best effort to reach some of our folks who might be a little underserved in this regard. Some of the other things that are just really complex, but I want to shout out to also the tech operations team and the rest of my digital literacy team for working through the integration process. We're very, very close now on our food and nutrition integration. Our transportation integration is done, and flying. Our HR implementation is done. And we have about 25 upstream apps with Canvas that are also lined up. So that's a significant amount of work. This has been really, really complex. We're coming out the other side, though. As I say, we're starting to let the rock roll downhill rather than push it up. Let's move on and talk about Chromebooks now. So, Ryan, that's your cue. See, it's not me. I'm feeling vindicated here.
Could I use this opportunity while you guys are figuring that out to ask a question?
Certainly.
Awesome. So you'd mentioned that there's some translation of the registration process. I'm wondering if there will be future translation opportunities for curriculum that students will be working at it from home and parents will be accessing to their preferred language.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea if we could pull that off. Certainly one of the other things, too, just to let you know that while we translated the OLR, one of the other things we have yet to translate, this is just, as you understand, a very massive project.
Sure.
As we also are going to translate the entirety of the Infinite Campus interface as much as we can, those languages. which hasn't been done yet, but that's future work. As far as the curriculum goes, yeah, I think that's a great idea, and we need to engage with our ELL staff to try to make those things happen. But I'm going to transition back because we got the remote working to Chromebooks. We will have question time at the end, I assure you. Again, I want to give a huge shout out to the operational team from technology as well as our folks in the warehouse and purchasing for helping. 5,500 Chromebooks, they're all out in the buildings. The Jefferson devices were delivered today. Washington was delivered last week, and Kennedy goes out on Thursday. Each box was contained with 8 Chromebooks, 8 power adapters, each individually labeled and inventoried by student, by grade level, done alpha-wise, so every box has a label on it that tells you whose kid's in it, and it's laid out perfectly. It just doesn't happen by accident, and that was a lot of work by that team, and they deserve a great deal of credit. We're very excited by also all the tools that will come out on those Chromebooks here very shortly. I can't tell you enough how much I'm looking forward to the accessibility and other tools we'll have that'll start leveling the playing field for our kids.
But we want to make sure that we understand, and this was some feedback that we got last time, that our students aren't just getting a device and going home with it. We have developed a course. Some teacher leaders got together and developed a digital citizenship course. Within that course, students will be expected to take a module on being positive, ethical, which is bullying, legal, which is copyright, safe, and policy modules, and that will help with them becoming digitally literate. The other thing is that they will go through applied digital skills modules, if they so choose, which will teach them how to send email, how to organize their drive, how to use Google Docs, how to use presentation slides, that type of stuff, so that we're bolstering their skills in creativity, collaboration, communication, and critical thinking, as well as digital citizenship. Not only will students get that, but we also have developed a social media campaign with communications to help parents and guardians understand what it means to be a good digital citizen. So that will be going out bi-monthly. We'll give tips and tricks and resources to parents on how they can monitor and help engage in conversations with their students about technology and what it means to be safe, positive, ethical, and legal online. With that being said, we are helping support our staff with this implementation. Here is some feedback we got from one Cedar Rapids High School teacher. With that being said, we put on this June 2.5 days of professional learning. We put on boot camps. This summer, over 100 teachers got level 1 certification through our online PD courses. On August 7th and 8th, we had 30 teachers start their Google certification trainers, so they will get level 1, level 2, and Google certified trained, which is a pretty remarkable thing. And that's just building our capacity, because then they'll have to train 12 trainings each year with that as well. So that's a pretty big thing. In pre-service week, we're doing 4 days of digital literacy again. Amy Yu, the regional director for Google Education, will be on site to give a keynote and then to give some breakout sessions as well, so showing that they're here to help us. So we're trying to bolster our staff and build their capacity so that we can ensure that students have an equitable environment with the technology as well as instructional strategies.
And so here we come up to some of the stuff that's just over the horizon. So again, in September, we're going to look to, we set a kind of a stretch goal here. Our numbers, our data over the last couple of years would tell us that we don't hit 75% registration returns until about mid-December. We're going to shoot for that in September. We're going to kind of keep our fingers crossed and hope that that happens. The big thing is that I want you to know that my team is designing for that in future years. This year we're hoping the tool makes a difference and a little bit of the novelty and newness makes us go up. But we're going to try to actually have a plan next year around and set some stretch goals on this that are a little more in line with what I think we should be in this regard. We're also going to make sure that we think about level 2 of HRS and digital literacy alignment as well, and that's really where the rubber meets the road, right? Let's make sure that our teachers understand how to design and interact with the tools. In October, very excited, Ken Shelton will be here to do some learning with us. Ken's a national level digital literacy speaker. His main idea is Tequity, is what it's called, so that's where we're going to focus at. He'll do a keynote to our high school and middle school staff, and then we'll have a good chunk of the day with some thought leaders from across the district to try to build capacity. Very excited about that. On November, I need to look at my notes again because it's very, very small. We'll go ahead and finish up that Google certification training that Ryan talked about earlier. And again, this is another really great thing, and can't be understated enough that we'll have 30 certified Google trainers. That's not a trivial thing. And then finally, as we get into December, we're going to go ahead and start organizing implementation walks. Very excited about that. We're going to get out in the buildings, Ryan and I will. We'll start having conversations with teachers and administrators and teacher leaders. Ryan will be working with instructional coaches, and we'll get out and actually start baselining how we're making a difference for kids. And so there's lots of really great building blocks that are just about ready to take off. And one of the things that just occurred to me, we kind of left off here, but I want to make sure I give a shout out to as well, that I'm just about equally excited to, is that ripping back to Infinite Campus, is that we will also really start reaping the full benefits of that data warehouse and Tableau that we've set up in previous years. So that's not a trivial thing. That's a really big dog deal. It gets a little pushed to the back of my mind right now because of all the things that are right in front of my face. But we're ready to the point where we'll be able to start delivering instructionally actionable data. In fact, we just set up our first push from campus out with a common assessment to all of our math folks. And that's getting in the works right this week, and that's really, really exciting stuff. So with that, I think we're ready to turn it over for questions.
Questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
What does someone being a Google trainer certification mean? And what added capacity do they have?
So that means they'll go through in August. They just previously went through 2 days and got their level 1 certification. So that's baseline information of how to use the G Suite tools to increase their productivity and their collaboration. And then they'll go through another day in October where how do we use those tools to enhance or transform the 4 C's, or the critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. And then they have to apply to become a Google trainer. And when you're a Google trainer, that means you have been vetted by Google, a team of trainers and innovators through the Google, which are educational people. So the guy that came and trained us was a director of technology out in Connecticut. He has his innovator license. And so that means they are deemed by Google and their Google for Education team that they are certified trainers. And so that means they have all the base knowledge that you need to be able to be highly effective in the classroom with G Suite tools.
So then I'm assuming they have added capacity to then share that information out with other teachers and other leaders.
Yep.
Does that certification count towards professional development?
No, it's on time. It's on contract time, so we're not able to apply that to their lane change or their research. Our online class that we're giving for our PL Charter Committee that would get level 1 certification, any teacher can do that, and that does account towards their recertification. Yeah, there was about 100 teachers that took advantage of that this summer, and all those 100 teachers now can do an online class. That's the way we set it up, so anyone can start taking it to increase our capacity to get those teachers trained.
Good. And does this work towards teacher leadership as well? In that?
So there are positions called digital literacy trainers that are part of the teacher leadership group, and there are currently 4 at each high school. And then as we work to the middle school, that will add layers there. And then you can see the November is start to consider what we're going to do to support elementary. We'll need support there too.
Great.
Not a question, but I just want to thank the team. This is a direction that the board has visioned for quite a number of years. And in fact, it wasn't that long ago that even thinking about going to a one-on-one seemed like it would be an impossible stretch. So we appreciate that. I really appreciate, I'm sure the rest of the board does too, the equity piece, bringing in the hot spots so that that all students will be able to. And then the working with the parents, it really now develops a community. We become a community school, and educating the parents along with it, a tremendous, I think, asset for our building. So thank you for your outstanding work. It's been looks like a great start. we're a third of the way through, right? We've got a couple more levels to go, but they'll be easier.
Well, that's the beauty of this, is we did a lot of lifting this year. There's a lot of capacity building. It's been kind of, frankly, a painful year, and I think we have some still rough spots ahead. These kind of big system changes aren't ever easy, and they aren't painful, and they are painful. And if they're not, we're not really changing things the way we should be, is the real truth behind it. That being said, I am incredibly optimistic and excited about the building blocks we've got in place here now. We can, what I was trying to allude to a little earlier, we've got people focusing on accessibility. We've got a coach doing nothing but that. We've got the equity piece at least starting to be addressed. At least we're having a good conversation about that. We're going to have good information, and we're going to have device, and this is going to be my fancy word. We've got device ubiquity. Everybody's going to have one.
Right.
And those are the pieces that we need to build a really robust, strong, vibrant program, and they're all here, folks. And by the way, we couldn't do this, the team couldn't do this without the direction and support from the board. So it's a very mutual admiration in this regard. So thank you very much.
Well, and I'd like to thank you too, and I like the timeline, and I like in December when you're going to do the walkthroughs. And I think that will be so important that there's the follow-up that's going on. Thank you guys and everyone involved for this great job getting this launched and going. It's going to be an exciting year.
It will be that.
So quick comment and quick question, I promise. So just from the comment side of it, having been with an employer that did the G Suite thing, it's kind of cool to see that it's the same model employed within the educational sphere, right? Because it was pretty much the same thing. You get people trained, you have them become experts or advanced users, and then they're the ones that take that knowledge, apply it to their workplace or their daily workflow or whatever it is that they do. And they're able to instruct others on shortcuts, best practices, all those things. And once you build that capacity, it just helps everyone, right? So that's cool to see that. The question that I had, so can you explain what day one would look like for students with that Chromebook?
Yeah, in fact, I think it's going to vary a little bit site to site.
Okay.
And Ryan, you've been working with Jefferson High School. They've probably, they've got a really, really solid first few days planned.
Okay.
And so I'm going to turn that over to Ryan.
So, working closely with the tech facilitators, the digital literacy trainers, the administration, and the instructional coaches, Jefferson, for example, has developed a 3-week plan of how they're going to slowly and gradually release the computers to the students. That will be the case at all the buildings as well. So the very first day, some buildings will be doing the device use policy, going through that PowerPoint, then having to take the quiz. Jefferson chose to do their safe and civil, so they're going to take all this information and apply it to their safe and civil or like be on time framework, so that it's not something different or something new, but they're just putting this into, because this is the way we work. And so they're going to teach the expected behaviors first, teach the safe portion, the positive, the ethical, the legal, and then the policy, and then the students, if they, as they pass the quiz, will be able to take it home on about week 2. But that doesn't mean they won't have the computers, they just aren't taking them home. So they'll be able to use them in school. But we want to make sure that the kids know how to use the computer and their expected behaviors before they can take them home.
That's exactly what I was hoping to hear, that was kind of going to be the first step as part of that.
Yep.
So along the same lines, I mean, we have students that transition from one building to another. What would that look like once they start, or if there's movement from, one high school building to another? They'll just take a device with them?
Yeah, so the device is assigned to the student,
Okay.
right? So the only time we're going to take the device back is when the student leaves the district, whether that's for graduation or if they exit. And that includes summer and everything. So this is another, in my mind, an equity sort of leveling the playing field notion. So the device is largely, it doesn't belong to the student, but it's going to be, we hope it builds some increased ownership with the students as well, because, it's going to be a device they'll use for the rest of their time with us. So.
All right, yeah, that's good to hear, because it opens up opportunities, even in the summertime, to provide options for other learning or who knows what for them.
And the hotspots will be the same way, by the way,
Right.
too. We aren't going to collect those unless the child leaves the district or graduates.
Okay. All right, that's all I had. Thank you. Good job.
I have one additional comment, and that is just, looking at all this, and it's just so incredible and exciting that you're really positively influencing 3 different populations. You know, you're allowing teachers, you're allowing staff to have better cross-collaboration opportunities. You're allowing students to have more access to like real-world applications of software and job skills. And you're allowing parents to the equity to be able to really access information about their student from multiple devices. And I think it's great. Good job.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Let's get it. Yes. What is left is if everyone can make sure you take a copy of your school board calendar. And our meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.